giving me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Puck It with Jo.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Puck It with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope everyone's morning has started off fantastically. We've got an absolutely loaded day out there on the ice, and last night's games did not disappoint. We saw the Tampa Bay Lightning be able to get the win as the dog on the road versus the Carolina Hurricanes, keeping those road trends alive between those teams, with the road team really having the advantage in their meetings. We saw the Chicago Blackhawks play really tight versus the Winnipeg Jets. That one going to OT, unable to seal the deal as the Winnipeg Jets did get a low-scoring win, 2-1. The Philadelphia Flyers came out nice and strong in Vancouver on their Western road trip here. They won it 3-2, and they do play again today, so we'll be talking about this team shortly. I was very impressed with what we saw out of them last night. And then the St. Louis Blues, everyone thinking this team would be exhausted last night. Now, I was leery to take the Vegas Golden Knights on the money line or on the puck line, and we know it was way too juiced on that money line. And the St. Louis Blues, too juicy on that puck line. They did keep it tight. They did cover that puck line. So for anyone who threw it into a parlay, you would have cashed that as the Golden Knights won it 4-3. But you guys, we've got so much going on today. I want to thank everyone for being here. If you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, make sure you go over and check it out. On the app is my Madden Quickie for college football today. My 3 best bets out there in those games. I can't wait for it. My Cup of Joe will be out after this, and then I'm live on the grid all afternoon, 3:30 to 7 o'clock Eastern with Scott Wetzel talking college football. Super excited for it. But let's jump into today's games. The slate does kick off at 1 o'clock Eastern. So in an hour from now, with the LA Kings taking on the Boston Bruins. Current lines on this one, the Kings coming in at plus 126 and the Boston Bruins at minus 152. We have a total of 5.5 in this one at minus 128 to the over and plus 104 to the under. Looking at the LA Kings here, I was really impressed with what they were able to do in that first game. We saw Kopitar come out, be able to get a hat trick versus the Buffalo Sabres. They look strong, and they actually look stronger defensively than I would have expected them to come out, because we know Drew Doughty out of this lineup with that ankle injury. I do still think they lack some depth on defense, but I think they're a play on here. I look here at the Boston Bruins, and the Boston Bruins look-ahead situation is horrendous. They have to face the Florida Panthers at home on Monday. This is a team that they just lost to, where the Florida Panthers came out and just dominated in that game. So I do think Boston is in a look-ahead situation. And when we're looking at that money line at minus 150, I can't get on it. I do think they could win this by just the 1 goal. I couldn't see them winning it by 2 goals in this one. That puck line laying 1.5 at plus 168. I just can't touch, but I can't take the LA Kings plus the 1.5. It's too highly juiced at minus 205. I think if you're going to do anything, this game is a sprinkle on the Kings because of the look-ahead situation here for the Boston Bruins. I like the plus money we're getting on them. They have depth up front in their scoring. Swayman will be in goal tonight for the Boston Bruins. He's got a 4.00 goals against average and an .833 save percentage in his so far this season. But when we look at him versus the LA Kings, he's 1.33 goals against average and a .959 save percentage. So I do think he'll come out strong. Darcy Kemper is in net here for the LA Kings. Now, Darcy Kemper's record against the Boston Bruins isn't great. He's gone 2-7 with a 2.96 goals against average and an .897 save percentage. I do think if the Kings are going to win this, they have to keep it low scoring. The defense really needs to step up here for the Kings, like they did versus the Sabres, and shut down the potent offense here that we have seen out of the Boston Bruins. This is going to be a hard-hitting, physical game out there on the ice. Give me the under 5.5 in this one. You guys, I know it's low at plus 108, but I have to go there. Mikey, I do think Boston in 60 at minus 105 is a solid way to go. Larry, let's make some freaking money, and yes, Swayman is going to need to help greatly in net tonight. You guys drop those comments, drop what you're betting so everyone can get on these bets with you. So we've got a 1 o'clock Eastern game, and then we go all the way to 7 p.m. Eastern with Utah taking on the New York Rangers. Now, the New York Rangers are coming in as the favorite, $2 favorite in this one, a plus 164 here on Utah, the hockey club, and this total is sitting at 6.5. Plus 112 to the over 6.5, which I was a little bit surprised by. I think this is because Igor Shesterkin expected here for the Rangers, but I do think Utah, with how young and hyped up this offense is, I think Utah can score a couple goals in this one. I know Igor Shesterkin has come out shaky in previous seasons in a couple of these games, and I think Utah will come out nice and strong. So give me the over 6.5 at plus 112 in this one. I do think the New York Rangers, with their strong line, should be able to light the lamp here on Connor Ingram and get the majority of the goals. So if you're looking at which team I would trust to get those goals, looking at their team total, it would be the Rangers team total over that 3.5, over that full game, if you're a little wary of Utah being able to score. Now, I do think one thing I really like in this one is the first period. The first period over 1.5 goals is coming in at minus 128. Little juicy here. The Rangers on the puck line in the first period. It's something we backed last season, and it was highly profitable for us, this team to come out hard and fast and get those goals on the board. So puck line first period here for the New York Rangers, laying the half goal at plus 138 will be another bet that I am on tonight. But Panarin, you know you've got to circle him for that anytime goal. Chris Kreider, I think this lineup will have, with Zibanejad, will have this way with Utah tonight. But Utah's hungry. Utah will not go away in this game. I do think this will be a live betting opportunity as well, you guys. If Utah goes down 3 goals in that first period and the Rangers are, $4 or $5 favorite, and you can get Utah plus 2.5 on that puck line, I will be coming back in on them because they won't say die in this game. The next game, we did have Carolina and Tampa postponed. Pittsburgh taking on Toronto. Now, the Maple Leafs at home in this one, almost a $2 favorite as well, minus 194. The Pittsburgh Penguins at plus 160. This total sitting at 6.5. The juice is to the over at minus 120 to the over in this one. Now, looking at the goaltending matchup, Tristan Jarry expected here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He allowed those 6 goals in that game versus the New York Rangers. So he absolutely needs that bounce back. He cannot allow those goals to come rolling in here. And the Toronto Maple Leafs looking to start Stolarz. Now, this offense here of the Toronto Maple Leafs has been so aggressive. They're averaging right on 35 shots on goal per game. And Pittsburgh is allowing, it feels like 5 million shots. Every time you watch a game with the Pittsburgh Penguins involved, those shots are coming hard and fast at their net. Now, they were able to get the win versus Detroit in that last game out after getting shut out of that first game. But you look at them, 6-3 win versus Detroit. They still allowed those 3 goals to go in. Looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs with their strength, I do think Toronto should be able to get the goals on Tristan Jarry in this one. I don't believe in a full bounce back. You can look, though, I think it's a nice lean here to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay, I just think there's something about Toronto at home. I'm not trusting offensively. They've had their struggles. I think this could be a 4-3 style game. With Toronto being a $2 favorite, I can't jump on them laying the goal and a half, because I do think if they win it 4-3, or the Penguins come out and win it 4-3. So plus 1.5 on the Pittsburgh Penguins is minus 156. You guys know, if you watched the show last season, that's too much juice for me. I like minus 144 and below. I won't hit that minus 150 mark. I think the Penguins on the money line for a sprinkle is worth a shot. We know these dogs can come out and win on any given Saturday. So I think the Penguins is worth a shot. I think their team total over 2.5 is probably the safest bet, and that's where you're going to lay less juice than taking them on that puck line. I think they get 3 goals, like I said, so over 2.5 is minus 132. There's no safe bets, but if I was going between the money line and the team total for the Pittsburgh Penguins, the team total for me feels like the safer bet here. I think it's a 4-3 win either way for either of these teams. So I do think it goes over this total. Now, Sid the Kid, Crosby has to step up, and Macklin have to step up just like they did in that game versus Detroit. if they come out and step up like they did in that last game, they have every ability to beat Toronto in this one. Now, Austin Matthews yet to get on the scoreboard. So Toronto at home here on a Saturday night, you know Austin Matthews is going to be hungry to get that goal. If you want to circle him, I wouldn't blame you. This team has depth on the secondary as well. They're getting that secondary scoring where we're not getting that from the Pittsburgh Penguins. So cautiously sprinkling on the money line here. I won't be shocked if Toronto wins, but I just think there's so much value on the Penguins. I don't think Toronto should be a $2 favorite in this matchup. So 4-3 win here for either of these teams. Let's look at the next one, you guys. Will win. They will not lose 2 straight at home. Yeah, I know they shouldn't win 2 straight at home. Bruins first period. I like the Bruins in the first period. They're another team that are strong in that first period. Mikey not trusting Utah. Yeah, it's hard to get behind these teams. I love them when they were the Arizona Coyotes. The name change kind of throws me a little bit, but the Utah Hockey Club, I think they're going to be a team that you've really got to watch this season to pull off those upsets. Now, the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Capitals kick off. This is another 7 p.m. Eastern matchup. We have the New Jersey Devils rolling in as the favorite. Current odds on FanDuel -142. With the Washington Capitals at +118 and a total of 6.5 in this one. The juice is coming to that under at -130, you guys. And I understand the juice coming to the under. If the Washington Capitals are to win this game, this has to be an absolute low-scoring game for the Caps. Now, the Caps have loaded up this season. Andrew Mangiapane joined them from the Calgary Flames, and Jacob Clickeren from the Ottawa Senators, really strong defensively. I like the add-ons that they've done for this team. We know Ovi is chasing those records, you guys, and I do think he has every ability to hit Wayne Gretzky's numbers. You can still jump in on that before they kick off this game tonight. I believe it's 42 goals he needs to get on the season. It's coming in at +1,000 now. Last year, he had 31. Looking at their schedule this year, I think he has the ability to hit it. It's this year or not. I'm not sure how much longer Ovi's actually going to want to play, you guys. You got to think about that as well. Now, Dylan Strome, someone to look here for the Washington Capitals to get on that scoreboard tonight. His anytime goal coming in at +260, I absolutely love. He is being elite versus the New Jersey Devils. Last season, he was able to get 3 goals, 2 assists in 4 meetings. So I'm going to take Dylan Strome here of the Washington Capitals for the anytime goal at +260. This team has every ability. You know, you've got Carlson on defense. Chychrun has joined on the defensive side of things. And I think offensively, adding Mangiapane, this team with Ovechkin, this team has the ability, and Strome has the ability to get this win here on their home ice, on their season opener, home opener. These teams we're seeing preparing so great for these other teams that have played a couple of games. So this game has been circled. I will take the Washington Capitals straight up on the money line at +118. It was +116 earlier in the morning when I got it. So you guys are getting some more value there. And I look at the New Jersey Devils, and I love this team. You guys know I'm high on this team. I think they can go all the way. I think this, even though it's a Metro divisional rivalry here, coming off that loss versus the Leafs, I just think it's a hard spot for the New Jersey Devils in this one. Jacob Markstrom didn't look very sharp versus the Leafs. He has looked sharp in the rest of the games. We look at Paul Coder. He's been phenomenal. He's got 2 goals and an assist. And Jack Hughes with those points. Timo Meier. This team is loaded. We got Dougie Hamilton on D, but I think this is a sneaky play on the Washington Capitals at home. And plus the line kind of tells me that. Why aren't the New Jersey Devils? Why are they only a -142 favorite? This is the line I thought we would roll in with them almost being a $2 favorite. So there's a couple of lines like that today where I'm going to play the underdog because the book's pushing me in that direction. The next one is one of those situations as well. The Florida Panthers taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Looking at these lines, you guys, you can't tell me this doesn't look fishy. The Florida Panthers only -137 favorites over a team that has lost every single one of their games in the Buffalo Sabres. You guys know I'm high on the Buffalo Sabres, and I do think this team is going to bounce back, but they're 0-3 on the season, and the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup last year. They got the win over the Boston Bruins, then lost in a bad situational spot to the Ottawa Senators, which we expected. We bet on the Ottawa Senators, and now they're taking on a Buffalo Sabres team that's 0-3. Why are the books only putting them at -137? I don't think that it's out of the question that the Buffalo Sabres win this one. Buffalo at home is where my money will go at +114. I wish we were getting more value. I wish we were getting them at, +150, but the books can't make it that way when the Florida Panthers are only -137. I think everyone's going to have that bias. We got the Stanley Cup favorite off a loss here and lay it with the Florida Panthers. If you really believe in the Florida Panthers, you guys, this game won't even be close. So if you like the Florida Panthers tonight, if you think that I'm absolutely crazy to put money on the Buffalo Sabres, which I probably am, you guys, I'm a little crazy, lay the puck line with the Florida Panthers, lay the 1.5, get that plus money at +188. Don't lay the juice at -137, because it's either the Florida Panthers come out here and completely dominate, or the Buffalo Sabres sneak this one out in a gritty game out there on the ice. The problem with the Florida Panthers and why I like the Buffalo Sabres so very much is the same reason why I'm betting against the Boston Bruins today. The Florida Panthers have the Boston Bruins in Boston on deck on Monday. So I think it's a clear look ahead to a team that they, just beat, but it's still that game circled. They know what Boston was able to do to them in the regular season in past seasons. So I do think that will be a main look-ahead situation. Lankican was expected here for the Buffalo Sabres, and I love the Sabres even more with Lankican in goal because he's been strong versus Florida in his career with a .920 save percentage. It is now Levi in net. I'm hoping we get the best out of Devin Levi tonight in this matchup. The Buffalo Sabres have struggled defensively so far, and they haven't been able to put up those goals. So going out on a ledge with them to get this win here is asking a lot. Now, if they're to get the win, it's because Tage Thompson absolutely comes out and dominates out on the ice. His anytime goals coming in at +195, I'm hitting on that. His 4+ shots on goal coming in at +114. If you like the Buffalo Sabres for them to break that streak of only being able to put up one goal, their team total's 2.5. This also tells me that the books are worried about taking action on the Buffalo Sabres because over 2.5 goals for the Buffalo Sabres is -142. It's so highly juiced, you guys. It's really interesting line in this one. Yeah, Swayman with those contract deals did not do any preseason hockey. You got to love Clayton Keller for those points out there, and Chris Kreider. I love where you're going with that. Caps on the money line. I'm glad you guys are agreeing with the Caps on the money line. You guys, this could be a fun day. I thought Utah might be able to get the upset. Utah might surprise this season. I agree. I think Utah is one of those sneaky teams. That is for sure. Let's look at the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Ottawa Senators off that big win versus the Florida Panthers. I do think maybe a little bit overpriced here in Montreal. They're coming in at -156, +130 for the Montreal Canadiens, and a total of 6.5. Now, that 6.5 is juiced to that under. I understand this one being juiced to the under because you look at Sam Montembeault in his first game, he stopped 48 shots on his net versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Fantastic set records. 4 posts were hit by the Leafs, so he lucked out a little bit there. Allmark coming into this game here for the Ottawa Senators. We love what we've seen out of him so far versus the Florida Panthers. Stopped 30 of 31 shots on his net. When we look at his career numbers from when he was with Boston versus the Montreal Canadiens, he went 3-1 in 5 games with a goals against average of 2.58 and an .899 save percentage. So solid numbers. Save percentage not above 900 though, which I don't love. The Ottawa Senators proved to us in their last game they are able to defensively create those turnovers in all 3 zones. I really loved what we saw out of them. And their new head coach, Travis Green, I do believe he really has this team flowing nicely together. So looking at all of that, can I back the Montreal Canadiens at home? I think so at the price, because you look at Montreal here. This is a fiery young team as well, and they have the playmakers on the ice. Cole Caulfield has been stepping up and getting things done at home. I do think this one stays under the total of 6.5, and that is my best bet in this one, under 6.5 at -122. But I do think Montreal at home, they always play hard in these games. This is a team as well. Live betting opportunities on Montreal. We've seen them year in and year out. Never give up in these games because of how hungry this young squad is. So live betting opportunities if the Senators do go up first, but the Senators are coming off a huge, huge win. So it was like, I don't even know what to compare it to in football. It was massive for them to be able to beat the Florida Panthers, Brady versus Matthew. You know, you had all of those storylines. The Ottawa Senators have been absolutely dominated in the past by the Florida Panthers. So I think this could be a letdown spot. I think you have to lay way too much juice here with the Ottawa Senators. If they would have lost that game, they would have rolled in here more of a pick'em style, and I think that's what they deserve to be, is a pick'em price and not this price here. So at this price, give me a sprinkle on Montreal and then give me the under 6.5. Nick Suzuki, I do think he gets some points on the board here for the Montreal Canadiens. He's yet to put a point on the board, and he's such a strong offensive playmaker for them. We got to look at Cole Caulfield again. He's already been lighting that lamp, and I think he comes out nice and strong. Let's go Habs. I love going with the Habs. It's a fun team to root for. Now the next game, still 7 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have a million TVs going, you guys. Got the Nashville Predators taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Current lines on this one. Over on FanDuel, I am seeing, hang on, just let me find it. The Nashville Predators, the favorite, rolling in at -140. So the juice is ticking up on this one. We have that total 6.5. Juice to the over at -118. Now, if you like the Detroit Red Wings at home as a home dog, they're coming in at +118. I do think the Predators are the right side. Now, interesting, because the Predators earlier, like we're talking an hour earlier, were -125 favorites, now ticked up to -140. I do think you could look here at the team total of the Predators to get some plus money. Their team total over 3.5 is coming in at +112. Cam Talbot is confirmed in goal here for the Detroit Red Wings. And while he looked a bit shaky in the first game, what I'm worried about is his 3-10-1 record versus the Pittsburgh Penguins in his career. I just don't know if we can trust him out here. Saros expected in this game today for the Nashville Predators. Saros 8-2-1 in 12 games with the goals against average of 1.76 and a 9.35 save percentage versus the Red Wings. So when we look at both of these goaltenders versus these teams, Saros definitely has the upper hand. Could Nashville come in and get a big win over the Red Wings? Because at -140, you guys, that juice is just getting a little bit high. If you want to lay the 1.5, it's +172. It's going to be a hard one because we got so many playmakers on both sides. You look at the Red Wings, you've got Dylan Larkin, DeBrincat, Tarasenko. Tarasenko made an impact right out of the gate for this team. I do think they get the points on the board. I would look here as well at the Preds. Steven Stamkos at +155 for the anytime goal. He had 81 points, 40 goals, and 41 assists when he was with the Lightning last year. I do think he can get on the board again today with that goal. Philip Forsberg, we know, led the Predators last season for points, 94 points. He had 48 goals and 46 assists. We've added Jonathan Marchessault. We've got Yossi. This is a loaded team. I got to still go with the Pittsburgh or the Nashville Predators. I just don't love the fact that you're laying all of that juice now. So maybe, I don't know. I don't love throwing even favorites into a parlay at -140 in hockey. It gets a little dangerous, you guys. The next game on deck is the Seattle Kraken. Let's just find current lines over here on FanDuel. They're coming in at +144 and a -137 mark here on the Minnesota Wild. This total is the lower side. It's a 5.5. Now the juice is to the over at -122, +100 to the under. Looking at this, you guys, Philip Grubauer or Joey Daccord, really no confirmations on goaltending. I would think we would see Joey Daccord. And I would hope so, because Joey Daccord had a good season last year. He had a 916 save percentage, a 2.46 goals against average. And with Joey Daccord in net tonight, I think they have every opportunity of rolling into Minnesota and getting the win. Philip Grubauer, I do think he is still strong, and they could win with him. I just love it even more if it's Joey Daccord. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury will be in goal tonight for the Minnesota Wild. He rolls in with a 17-15-5 record last season with a 2.98 goals against average and a save percentage under 900, but not far under 900, 895. His birthday's coming up in November. So we're going to watch for those goalie birthday shutout props. You know that they're always a money maker. Looking at players on their birthdays, I like to circle players, especially for those goals and those shutouts. So if there is a player that you know is having a birthday even this weekend, drop it, let me know. I haven't looked at it, but I know Marc-Andre Fleury's birthday's in November because I played him last season in November for those birthday props. Now, I'm going to look at this one as I really don't like the Wild style of play. And it's something that you've got to watch. This team likes to just drop back, play more defensive hockey. They're not really the run and gun offense that's trying to keep continuing to get on the board. So they get the lead. They try to just drop back and protect it. I want to bet here on the Seattle Kraken. I want to bet on this hungry team off a loss to the St. Louis Blues. In that opener, they gave up. So they had a huge lapse. So in 1 minute and 55 seconds, they gave up 3 goals. Okay. They had a lapse. They got back into the game, but it was too little, too late. I think the Kraken get this win here on the road. +1, what was it? +114, straight up on the money line. First period, you can actually there's some interesting things that you can bet on FanDuel. I think the Kraken come out and score right away. In that game versus the St. Louis Blues, we did not see any goals in that first period, but I think the Kraken answer in this one right out of the gate on Marc-Andre Fleury. First period goal, anytime in the first period for the Kraken to score is coming in at -136. So it is juicy. Seattle on the money line in the first period coming in at +104 as well. Now, there are a couple of really good playmakers over on the Minnesota Wild. You've got Matt Boldy and Kaprizov, but I do think in this one, I just got to go with the team that I think is the hotter hand in the Kraken. You added Brandon Montour on defense. You got Brandon Tanev. Jared McCann should be good for this game. Chandler Stevenson, Jared Schwartz. You know, this is going to be a fun game for Kraken fans, I think, and a fun season as well. Larkin for the 1+ points. Larry, I like where you're going with that as well. Montreal, a good bet, +1 goal. Pays good. Yeah, you could just do the +1. Let's look at the next game here, you guys. The New York Islanders taking on the Dallas Stars. Current lines on FanDuel. The Islanders rolling in at +146. Interesting. Great plus money on this team. -178 here for the Dallas Stars. That total of 6.5 is juiced to the under at -132. Now, Varlamov is expected in goal tonight for the New York Islanders. This team struggled to score last season, but I do think we're going to see a little bit more out of them. Jake Ottinger is expected here for the Dallas Stars. He's a strong goalie. He really is. We know Jake Ottinger. He didn't have the season that I thought he would have had last year. Now, the Dallas Stars are strong on the power play. Last season, they were able to get 58, I believe, power play goals. They came out nice and strong. Their defense and net minding both were strong as well. So overall, a really strong, complete team out here. They were only allowing 2.8 goals per game. I do think the Islanders, off a loss to Utah in that home opener in overtime, will struggle to score in this game versus Dallas, but I don't see Dallas putting up enough points for us to go over in this game. I also don't love Dallas with the price we have to pay on them at -178. I don't want to take a puck line in this one because we know the New York Islanders can be sneaky in some of these games, but the +1.5 on the Islanders is -172. So I can't go there either. I think the best bet, the under 6.5 at -132 in this one. Now, We have a player coming up that has come over for the Islanders from the KHL. I'm going to try not to butcher his name. Slablakov, for the anytime goals plus 500. You spell his name Tsyplakov. The T is silent. Sablakov. I need to hear it said 5 million times more before I remember how to say it. But he is fantastic out there at being able to get those goals on the board. He will be on the second line as well as the top power play unit here for the New York Islanders in the KHL last season. He was able to rack up 31 goals. So I'm looking for him to be impactful for this team. Now, another thing to note on the Islanders and why I wouldn't take the Dallas Stars on the puck line, the Islanders have been able to go 4-2 on the puck line against the Dallas Stars as an underdog in their last 6 games. So should win here for the Dallas Stars, but I doubt they cover this one. Now, Dunclair has stepped up as well as a forward for the Islanders being brought over. We know the Stars, still have Hintz, Robinson. It's still a really strong team. Larry, I love where you're going with Hintz and Robinson. You know they're both great playmakers out there. If you want to just parlay some of those playmakers for those anytime points, I think it's a solid way to go. We're now going to look at the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Columbus rolling in here as a huge dog. They're plus 255 on the money line if you think they can pull off the upset in Colorado. Colorado, that means they're a $3 favorite. You're laying $3.20 on that money line. Total 6.5. Now the 6.5 is juiced for that over at minus 122. So if you do think it goes over this total, you've got to expect the Columbus Blue Jackets to get some points on the board in this one. We saw the Columbus Blue Jackets lose to the Minnesota Wild 3-2. They came up against a really strong defensive team that played that stay-away hockey at the end. Elvis is expected here for the Columbus Blue Jackets and Georgiev expected for the Colorado Avalanche. Now, this should be a bounce-back spot for Colorado where they're off that loss to Vegas in which they allowed 8 goals. So my question for you guys is, well, then, should the Columbus Blue Jackets be able to score enough? Score at least 2 goals for us to push us over this total? I do think so. I would take this game to the over 6.5. Again, this one over 6.5 is at minus 122. But I do think 5-2, 5-3 style game. Either way, it gets us over that 6.5. If you just want to look at the Colorado Avalanche's team total to that over, I would go there. I'm loving some props in this one. Nathan McKinnon for the goal has no value at all. It's minus 145. I told you guys I have a minus 144 mark where I hate to go over it. I can't take that. But if you think Nathan McKinnon's going to come out and score the very first goal for the Colorado Avalanche. It doesn't have to be the first goal of the game. It just has to be the first goal for the Colorado Avalanche. That's coming in at plus 390. Remember last season he had 140 points, 51 via goals, 89 via assists. He had 2 assists versus Vegas, so yet to light the lamp. I think he lights the lamp, and I would be willing to take him for that first goal in this one at plus 390. Now, Mikko Rantanen, he won't be denied, I don't think, either on home ice tonight. He had 104 points last season. When we're looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets, you guys know this team is highly emotional, and I do think that they are playing strong hockey still, even though they lost to the Wild. I'm looking at Monahan to come out again. We took him for that last game for the anytime goal, wasn't able to get it. I will take him for the first goal here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're getting that at plus 800. Again, doesn't have to be the first goal of the game, just the first goal for Columbus. I'll also take him for the anytime goal at plus 260. So I'm putting a half a unit on both of those. But I think this is going to be an exciting, fun, high-scoring game between these two teams. Next, we have the Philadelphia Flyers back in action today, taking on the Calgary Flames. Now, Calgary coming back from Vancouver after getting that comeback win, are minus 125 on the money line. We have plus 104 here for the Philadelphia Flyers after beating the Vancouver Canucks last night in Vancouver, now having to travel out to Calgary for a 10 p.m. Eastern game. There is an hour time difference between Vancouver and Calgary, so Vancouver is an hour behind Calgary, so they will get that extra hour between what we're looking at time-wise, but total of 6.5 in this one. Juice to the under at -134. Now, when we look at this game, the goalie in for the Philadelphia Flyers, Fred Dotoff, I don't know how he's going to fare. Now, he was in the KHL. He allowed 4.95 goals against average in the 3 games that he played last season for the Philadelphia Flyers and an .811 save percentage. I think he's going to struggle versus Calgary, especially with what we saw out of them versus Vancouver that has a much stronger defense. We have Wolfie getting the start here for the Calgary Flames. He's only played 16 NHL starts, so he's gone 7-7-1 with a 3.03 goals against average and an .896 save percentage. This kid is hungry for a shutout, you guys, and if you can get shutouts for Wolfie tonight, I hate to do it against the Flyers, and I'm just looking to see if it's up on FanDuel, and it's still not. I do think there's a possibility of that shutout. I do think Calgary will look to give him more protection. It's funny when you look at teams like Calgary when the backup goalie comes in instead of Dan Vladar, who was hit early and hard by Vancouver in that game. I think Wolfie will get more protection. He's a small, young rookie goalie, you guys. Only 16 starts last season, like I said. So I'm expecting him to play a solid game here. I think Calgary can get the win at -125. It's not too juicy. Mishkov, though, the rookie for the Philadelphia Flyers, if you don't believe in the shutout, I'm just going to sprinkle on the shutout if I ever get those numbers to come out. But if someone's going to get a goal, I would look at the rookie Mishkov here for the Flyers. We know he was held off last night. 3+ shots on goal at +102, and the anytime goal coming in at +230 for him. Calgary's team total over 3.5. I love it's coming in at +122. And if you're thinking who can get those goals for Calgary, I'm going to look at Connor Zary. He's coming in at +350. I think you can look at Backlund too at +330 and Kuzmenko at +210. So that's what I'm liking in that. Let's root for that shutout, though, you guys. It would be great to see. We still got a ton of games to go over, so thanks for everyone who is sticking with us here. Just 2 more. It feels like a ton when I've been talking this long, but let's look at these games. The Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton's got to be reeling after the Winnipeg Jets completely shut them out, destroyed them in their home opener. You've got to know this team is going to be angry. Are they going to be able to do enough to take it out versus the Chicago Blackhawks, who have played, it feels like 5 million games already this season? Chicago's +280 on the money line, and we have -360 here for the Edmonton Oilers. This total sitting solid at 6.5 with -110 to either way. Now, if you like Edmonton to come out, cover that puck line, 1.5 is -140. I am leery of that because in the last game, I took them. I thought they would come out flying at home. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl combined for 3 shots on goal. This team, talk about a stinker coming out in that game. But in this one, I'm looking for goals right away in the first period. A goal in the first 5 minutes. Give me in this one. It's Stuart Skinner in net. We could see the Chicago Blackhawks on the second night of a back-to-back after playing Winnipeg last night. Look at that travel, though, you guys. We could see them get one on Skinner, but I do think those goals will come by the Edmonton Oilers. So a goal in the first 5 minutes at +156. I'm going to put a little bit of sprinkle on both teams to score in the first period because even though Skinner looked better in the playoffs last season, it's still Stuart Skinner. I can't trust him. And he proved it versus the Winnipeg Jets, allowing 5 goals on 31 shots on his net. So give me Chicago to come out strong in that first period. They're going to be tired, though, you guys. It's a huge travel trip. And you look at this team on the second night of a back-to-back. They did not fare well last season, went 1-9 in their 10 games on that second night of a back-to-back, and 2-8 on that puck line on that second night of a back-to-back. So this third game in 5 days. I told you it felt like they played a million so far. It's going to be a hard one if they have a chance to get up on Edmonton, it would be in this first period here. So that's where I'm going with that one. You can look at Connor McDavid to get those points on the board. I'd go 2+ points, but I'm sure that is even too highly juiced. Let's just have a quick look because those point numbers weren't out before. Connor McDavid for 1 point minus 650, for 2 points is minus 132. So still juicy. Now, Connor Bedard for 2+ points at plus 255, man. They'd have to play a heck of a game here versus Edmonton. I think the best value you're getting on Connor McDavid is 3+ points at plus 240. We know the Chicago Blackhawks defense really can let them down, and so can Peter Mrazek. And you would think here, Edmonton has to get something going offensively. They absolutely have to, or otherwise, this team. Except, look who they have on deck tomorrow. The biggest rivalry on deck actually, it is tomorrow, isn't it? Let me make sure it's tomorrow and not Monday. Yeah, tomorrow we will see the Calgary Flames in Edmonton to take on the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton's still a $3 favorite in that one. To note, the Minnesota Wild are playing the Winnipeg Jets on the road tomorrow, and that's going to be interesting as well. So some interesting matchups. Seattle plays again tomorrow versus Dallas, and the Ducks play again tomorrow versus Vegas. So Edmonton, look ahead with their rival Calgary. I wouldn't think so, especially with how they lost that first game. If they would have beat Winnipeg in the first game, I think Chicago would have had a more of a chance if Chicago wasn't on a back-to-back in this one for Edmonton looking ahead to Calgary. So that's where I'll go. I think it's Edmonton. They got to win this, but I don't love laying that puck line. The Anaheim Ducks versus the San Jose Sharks is the last game of the night, you guys, and I do think this one will have some fireworks. We've got a total of 6.5 at plus 102 to the over, and oh my God, if I can ult this one, I will. I think this one flies over this total of 6.5. I expect both of these teams to come out so strong offensively in this game, and I expect a lack of defense. We've got minus 137 here for the Anaheim Ducks, plus 114 for those sneaky San Jose Sharks at home. And yes, they weren't able to get that win in that last game, but I tell you, this team did not disappoint. Celebrini is questionable for the game, and I wasn't seeing props for him going into this one, and I just want to have a look to see if we've got any Celebrini props, because pretty telling if he's going to be on the ice, if they're giving us the props or not. He is listed as day-to-day currently on everywhere I look, and I'm not seeing him on FanDuel for any of those props at the moment, you guys. I do lean still to the Sharks at home at plus 114. I love the value on this team who is sneaky at home. Now, Blackwood is expected. Vanacek is the backup goaltender for the San Jose Sharks. He was with the New Jersey Devils last season, and he had solid numbers for a backup goalie, just below 900 with an 890 save percentage. Now, Dostal is expected here for the Anaheim Ducks. He's got a 902 save percentage with a 3.33 goals against average. This is their first game of the season, so they're coming out prepared to take on the Sharks. But the problem is it just looked so terrible in preseason. But we saw that with the Winnipeg Jets, and then they rolled into Edmonton. The Ducks have also dominated this matchup, winning 7 of the last 9, but they did struggle on the road all of last season. Now, they've got a couple draft picks that we have to watch. Now, Leo Carlson was from last year, and he is such a strong center presence out there on the ice. I love what both of these teams have done with these young pickups. Now, Will Smith was picked up by the Ducks. He's plus 320 for the anytime goal tonight. He gives the Ducks such a strong 1-2 punch out there on the ice. I would look at Will Smith tonight for that goal at plus 320. He is like a walking reel out there. His ability to move that puck so nice down the ice, get those breakaway plays. It's absolutely fantastic. And then Gauthier here was the other draft pick. He's coming in at plus 350 for the anytime goal tonight. He's fantastic at scoring. He put up 38 goals in 41 games for Boston College last year, and he's definitely someone that you want to circle and you want to watch out there on the ice. I think with him playing on the same line as Leo Carlson. The two are going to be absolutely dangerous out there. So those two, Gauthier, you spell it Gauthier. I'm going to be circling him for the anytime goal at plus 350 and Will Smith at plus 220. Young playmakers. Now, when we're looking at the San Jose Sharks, Celebrini might not be playing tonight. We'll see if he comes out there on the ice. But I think Tyler Toffoli, go back to him for the anytime goal at plus 160. He got us a goal last game, and I do think the Winnipeg Jets really, they shouldn't have let him go. I wouldn't have let Tyler Toffoli go. He's been on a ton of teams, though, you guys. But that is it for Pocket with Joe. How can we deny Austin Matthews for the 2+ points? Sports Master 21. Love where you're going there with that one. So it's going to be a good game tonight. Larry going with Bedard has let you down. It could be McDavid for 2+ points, 4+ points. He's got to get going. Connor McDavid absolutely has to get going for this team, and we'll see what he brings. Expect Connor McDavid to absolutely bring it versus Calgary tomorrow. Will he bring it versus the Chicago Blackhawks? Will he overlook this team? That will be a question mark. I do think he finds the back of the net tonight. 3+ points for Connor McDavid, I love as well. You're getting plus money. 4+, Larry, I wish you all the best with that. You guys, I'll see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern. Only 4 games on tomorrow's slate. Hopefully we make some freaking money tonight out there on the ice. That first game kicking off right away here. So wishing you guys all the best in your bets between the LA Kings and the Boston Bruins. Kings, little sprinkle on that money line to get the upset win over the Boston Bruins. I love that matchup. You guys, we'll see you tomorrow. If you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, make sure you go and do so. Again, my Madden Quickie is over there for college football today. And then I'll be on the grid 3:30 Eastern to 7 o'clock tonight with Scott Wetzel, college football game day, breaking down all of these games, live betting them, and jumping in where we can make some money. That's it. That's it. We're done. You guys, 45 minutes. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Hit so many times.